Hey, how's it going, everyone? For as much as I know you all love my silky smooth voice, I wanted to bring you guys some new content in the form of a debate between my Discord members. I thought it would be fun to ask my Discord members to debate about a matchup that they felt was fair regarding two verses that I'm personally not that familiar with. Since I have next to zero knowledge when it comes to the scaling of any of these verses, I feel like it's more about how well they can construct an argument rather than who would actually win the fight. If you like this type of content, please let me know down in the comments, or simply drop a like. And if you'd like to participate or represent your verse in creating one of these videos, you can join my Ko-Fi to get access to my Discord, or you can become a channel member and in addition to that, get early access to my videos. Before we begin, I would like you guys to please keep in mind that this is all for fun, so please be respectful in the comments. So with all that out of the way, let's begin. For the start of this, we will be taking some turns, so we'll go with AP and DC, then we'll move on to durability and endurance, after that speed, and then finally each character's hexes. We'll take a couple of minutes each to just present your arguments, but yeah, so whoever wants to start, you're more than welcome. And good luck to you both.
Fantastic, glad to hear it. All right, one of the first things I like getting out of the way, rather than saying AP or anything, is speed, because speed is
That's fine.
like, it's one of the longer subjects.
Okay.
It's like speed and hacks will normally take the longest to argue.
Right.
In my personal experience. So I'm going to go over speed and reasons why. So
1 second. Let's actually bring up the versus battle and what it is. I forgot to add that.
Yeah, that is a good catch.
All right.
So, do you want to handle that then?
Okay, so as you guys know, I gave you guys the option to pick who you guys wanted to put up against each other, and I know you guys had a little bit of conversation, so I didn't really look through the exact matchup, so if one of you guys could just lay out the boundaries by which you guys set up your versus battle.
Yeah, absolutely. So originally we were going to do Demon King Possessed Meliodas versus End of Series Asta, but that ended up not being fair.
Okay.
To the point where we had to swap it around.
Okay, that's fair.
And we ended up agreeing with Yujiro versus Dungeon Arc Asta from Black Clover. So Yujiro Hanma from Baki. I think the upper bounds were nothing. I think you said nothing above planetary. No, I am assuming no transfinite speed arguments or whatnot, because that's just goofy.
Yeah.
And yeah. Anything you want to add, Six?
Nope. All good.
So in Baki, Son of Ogre, the last fight happens to be between Baki Hanma and Yujiro Hanma.
Okay.
Is the famous father-son fight.
Right.
Baki has a technique called the cockroach tackle, where he sort of imagines himself melting and then yeets himself super duper fast.
Right.
In the first time he does it, we actually get the speeds for it. It is, going from 0 to 168 miles per hour in 1/100th of a millisecond.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so that's fun. Let's go over that. And then in the second time he does it, the first time he does it, he gets Yujiro by surprise because he wasn't expecting it. Second time he does it, Yujiro literally kind of mocks him and says, "Why do you think you could get the same attack off 2 times in a row on me? Did you really think that low of me?"
Right.
And I have the speed of the acceleration of the cockroach tackle.
Okay.
Compared to the speed of sound, which is going to be over 1 second.
Okay.
For the speed of sound.
Okay.
Just so we have a baseline, the difference there, and then it compared to the speed of light, so we have an idea of where it's at. It should be in the sub-rel ranges at a minimum of 2.5% the speed of light.
Okay.
There's a similar feat in Bakido when he fights Musashi, which Musashi like lunges at him with his sword in hand and was aiming to cut off his head. Yujiro was able to essentially flex his muscles and catch the sword, and it says in less time than, and it goes out into just past the 100th millisecond point.
Okay.
For that. So he should be faster later, and that would actually be consistent with the statement of, where is it? Gotta find it first, but there's a consistent statement that he's getting stronger and more efficient and just better at everything he does every day.
Right. Yes, from my understanding of some Baki scaling, apparently Yujiro Hanma gets stronger over time, or as the series progresses.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's been several months since that father-son fight.
All right, you want me to go over it now?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so this is Arc 2, so there's not a lot to go off of, but Asta should pretty significantly upscale from Luck,
Okay.
who's a lightning mage,
Okay.
and Luck accelerates himself 2 different times.
Okay.
One where he with his lightning boots, and one with his lightning gauntlets.
Right.
Or 2 with his lightning gauntlets.
Do the lightning gauntlets grant him lightning speed right off the bat?
No.
Okay.
But he should just be light speed, going off what we've seen in the series, because light speed mages have been shown to be light speed.
Okay.
And he accelerates himself 2 times in 2 different ways. So that should upscale his speed a little bit.
Okay. This is second arc, right?
Yeah, this is second arc.
Okay.
And this same Luck wasn't able to do like anything to Mars at all, while Asta was able to fight equally with him. And then once he got his second sword, he was able to absolutely dominate him.
Okay.
So, bare minimum, Asta should be massively hypersonic, but he should probably get up in the range of relativistic to relativistic plus. And this is consistent, as only 2 arcs later, he should be light speed to FDL.
Light speed to FTL. Okay. What would you guys like to go over next? Durability, stamina, not stamina. Durability or AP? Or any hexes?
We could do hacks.
Okay. You can start this time 6 if you want.
So again, this is second arc, so there's not a lot to go off of.
Right.
But he does have a few different things. He has 2 different swords.
Okay.
Both of them weigh like thousands of tons, as shown throughout the series.
Okay.
Which is pretty crazy.
Thousands.
One is lighter and more sharp, and the other is heavier and it's more blunt force.
Okay. Is there a statement for their weight?
I do think there is one, but I could not find it.
Okay. Okay, I'll take that into consideration.
But it does show that even though Wizard King, with reinforcing his arms, isn't able to lift it.
Okay.
And he should be a well-trained swordsman at this point in the series, because he was trained by the best swordsman in the Diamond Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
During his time skip.
Okay.
Between episode 1 and episode 2. And these swords, they can also be dual-wielded, as shown in the next arc, which he can definitely do in this arc.
Okay.
And he has some pretty insane battle IQ.
Okay.
Multiple times he's shown to be able to figure things out in the blink of an eye, and figure out strategies in the blink of an eye.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. There's not much to go off of.
Right. The anti-magic wouldn't necessarily come in handy in this fight.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yulvert?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going over. I didn't quite catch what he said we were going over.
Hacks. Yeah.
Hacks. Fantastic. Okay, want to double check. Make sure I wasn't, mishearing it.
Okay.
So we know that Yujiro pretty much upscales everyone in the verse.
Right.
He can actually crush coal with enough force that in canon it requires 100,000 tons. That's not 100,000 pounds. That's not 100 tons. That is 100,000 tons. That is a lot of a lot of like grip.
Right.
It's kind of disgusting when you think about it. Which here's the statement of that where they bring it up for the exact measurement. Yeah, okay. He can't be like analytically like he can't be analyzed to predict this guy's movement.
Okay, so it's hard to analyze Yujiro Hanma. So just to be a little bit more clear, because I was still a little bit like off with some of the scaling that you gave for like Asta's hacks. You mentioned that he was trained by the best swordsman in the Diamond Kingdom. Can you go a little bit more in depth into that? Because you mentioned something about like later in the arcs, so I was just a little bit confused as to, you know, whether or not this like would apply to second arc Asta.
Yeah, I mean it would because it happens in between episode 1 and 2 when Asta go through his training arc before the Royal Knights exam.
Right.
Not the Royal Knights exam.
Yeah. The Magic Knights.
So it would apply, and he is stated to be the best swordsman in the Diamond Kingdom by him and another source.
Okay, so yeah, the Asta stuff. Okay, I get where you're coming from. He should also be faster if he's got a less heavy sword. Okay. One thing I did want to ask was that because I remember watching this. I remember watching this in the anime when I did look at throughout like the first season or so. I think it was around the time when they met with Julius, the Magic King. He mentioned that like Asta's sword was heavy, but it was also taking away his magic. It was also absorbing all of the magic.
Yeah.
So would that then be? Would it then mean that like was Julius really reinforcing himself to hold a sword, or was it like he was just getting weakened from, you know, the weight of the blade, from the blade's anti-magic properties? Is what I mean.
Yeah, that makes sense, but he should still be able to lift the sword if it was just like a regular sword, you know what I mean?
Right.
It would just be kind of draining his magic.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from.
I'm pretty sure it's been lifted by a few people.
Okay. I would also appreciate it if you can find like any statements for the sword's weight, just to like validify any statements like that, just because I'm sure that like if I upload anything, the comment section will probably want some, you know, they'll probably want like something to pop up, but it's all good either way.
Oh yeah, and also Asta's been training his physical body his whole life, and he does like this, like damn, this sword is really heavy.
Yeah, so he has like peak human conditions, peak human physique.
Yeah.
No,
you're fine. You did mention that you were on the road, so
my apologies. Road Wi-Fi and all. I was gonna say I'm gonna fetch that Musashi skin, but let's see. So yeah, no, his own son can't even like picture him through that.
Yeah.
Let me grab this. I was trying to go over the Binda, which is a whip strike.
Okay. Yeah.
The Binda should basically be some level of pain manipulation. Here's him resisting the Binda through just pure muscle contractions.
Okay.
Also, this occurred in the father-son fight, so it's Baki hitting him with this. There is the fact he can create shockwaves.
You can create shockwaves
as well. Yes. Specifically, he can like punch the air and send force through the air, or enough of it to like knock people back a little bit.
Okay.
Let's see. So there's that. His raw anger alone was able to shake. So I think he was so angry, his body was shaking, and because his body was shaking so much, the entire skyscraper started shaking too.
Okay.
So there's that. There is the fact that unless they have some level of fear resistance, they will be scared to the cellular level with this right here.
Okay.
Let's see. Then there is him having extrasensory perception, such as being able to sense the range of opponents' attacks,
Okay.
which we see here. There's also him being able to feel threatening intent from thousands of miles away
Okay.
in Africa while his son was in so
Yeah, I remember seeing this
That
when he
should
mastered the old Kung Fu master's paper dodging ability. Okay.
that's the other thing. He can smell strong.
He can smell really well as well.
He can just smell strong men. Like if he's like, oh, you're a strong opponent, he can smell it on you.
Right.
Apparently.
Would you guys like to move forward to durability and AP?
Sure.
Okay. Ulrich, if you
Sure.
want, you can start off with either or.
All right, awesome. So I'm not gonna really try and go too high with him. There's some really weird metas that exist out there,
Okay.
but there is the very, very, very notorious feat
Okay.
where he proceeded to stop a earthquake with a single punch.
Right. Yeah. I hear that one a lot.
Yeah. They say, oh wow, it's a big one, which colloquially in Japan does mean a magnitude 5 to 7.
Okay.
Typically, though, if it was super duper, if it was a 7, people would probably be trying to seek shelter. But in the instance of the earthquake, he just punches it down. Normally, people use that for multi-city block to town levels of AP, and it wouldn't be shocking if the higher end was true, just due to the fact there's repeated statements of Yujiro being strong enough that they'd have to maybe consider nukes to get rid of him. And there's a number of statements where presidents who have sworn the peace agreement between the ogre and the United States of America have said, we're pretty sure the nukes aren't going to actually kill him.
Okay. I've always been curious about those statements. Specifically because it's never really shown how exactly a nuke would interact. Like, would he tank it? Would he outrun it? Would he stop it from falling? You know what I mean? It feels like it's too conditional.
No, I agree. Which is the thing to me. I've always thought that he would find a way to outrun it.
Okay.
Just because either that or if it was dropped directly on top, he'd find a way to either somehow tank the explosion or stop the explosion.
Right.
But I do agree with you that those statements are not. I would love to just see what happens.
Exactly.
So, it would be we already believe it's he's gonna survive it. Actually,
we know that he can survive it. It's the method by which he would survive that is.
Survive, right? Yeah.
Because
I want to know: is it Homelander outrunning it? Is it just being that guy?
Yeah, he just tanks radiation. He just tanks a hydrogen
his
bomb.
My cells are not bitch made. Radiation means nothing to me.
Yeah, I mean, hey, fuck it.
I don't know.
All right. 6.
Okay.
We can go into AP and durability.
So for AP, there's a few different arcs. A few different instances of large building to building level feats.
Okay.
From people like Luck, Klaus, and pre-power up Yuno.
Okay.
Which Asta should significantly scale up from.
Okay.
Which would put him in the large building to city block ranges.
Okay.
And there is also a feat from Yuno that is city block to eyeball multi-city block.
These are the images that you sent at the start? The spirit attack?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's if you believe a healthy Asta scales to that, which I personally don't, then he would be probably multi-city block, but I think solidly he is large building to city block ranges.
Okay.
And for durability, we don't really see much for this, but Asta's like a physical beast, like just like Yujiro,
Okay.
and he can tank hits. Would it kill a normal mage? Like he tanks a stronger hit than Noel, and the hit that Noel, the hit that Noel took had her on the ground, and she was in critical condition.
Okay.
While Asta was just like getting up and fine.
So the hit that Noel took, what exactly was it?
It was just a regular hit from Mars.
Mars. Okay. And what feats does Mars have to, like, give us a ballpark of how strong the hit is?
Well, he does have a building level feats.
Okay. I think we've already gone through all 4 categories, so now I just want you guys to give me an idea of how you think the fight would go. Any possible counters that they may have towards any of their abilities. 6, Ulrich went first last time, so if you want, you can start this off.
Okay, so aside from just like being a beast, like a physical beast, I don't think Yujiro has much besides like AP and durability.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
While Asta has like a bunch of different things. He has 2 different swords with different uses, and he can dual wield them.
Okay. The swords.
And he has he has insane battle IQ, just like Yujiro.
Okay.
So he's kind of like a imitation of Yujiro, basically.
Okay. So does Asta? You probably mentioned this before, but does he have like the ability to essentially counter things that he's seen once?
Yes, he does.
Okay. If you could just send me some scans for that afterwards, we'll be fine. Okay. The swords. I wanted to ask about the swords. So I remember you mentioned that one of them was blunt.
Yes.
Which of his swords at the time did that? I know that he had the short sword that could absorb magic and sling it right back with a magic slash. Obviously, that wouldn't happen in this versus battle. And I know that he has the large one that can deflect magic attacks back, the standard big one. So what exactly? Because I know that I think the big sword, I think you mentioned that's the one that it's more blunt than anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think he would be able to cause considerable damage to Yujiro from a swing of that sword?
Probably, because it definitely weighs a lot.
It weighs a lot. Okay. Do you have anything?
And
okay.
he should have enough AP to damage Yujiro.
He should have enough? Okay. Well, Yujiro apparently, again, Yulverk and I already talked about this. He's apparently able to, deal with a nuke. So, if, let's just say on the byproduct that, like, to take down Yujiro Hanma, you'd have to hit him with a force greater than a nuke. Do you think Asta could produce that within the first 2 arcs?
No.
No, okay. I'm just trying to see, like, if... I'm trying to look at, like, the different avenues of this, you know what I mean? Like, if Yujiro can tank a nuke, if, like, the idea that, nuke doesn't work on him, if it's because he can tank it, then obviously Asta probably can't bring him down. But if that's not the case, then obviously there's a much open argument to, Asta being able to substantially damage Yujiro as the fight progresses. Okay.
And also, last thing,
yeah.
He probably has higher speed as he's like upscaling from a bare minimum massively hypersonic log.
Okay, so yeah, if he's as fast as or faster than Luck, especially within the first 2 arcs, then he should be faster than Yujiro Hanma, at least from my understanding. Okay.
Yes.
Unless you go... Okay. Okay. Yulverik, do you want to tell me how the fight would go?
So, I personally think the fight's going to go in such a way that he's going to look at Asta. Asta's not going to be scared. Asta doesn't seem really like he's going to be bothered by that.
Right.
I'm like, pretty sure he has like some sort of like devil inside him, so I don't think his cells are going to get scared.
Right.
I think he's going to be like, oh, this kid's strong. Let me see how strong he is. And he's going to whip out that sword. He's like, oh, well, don't know how he did that. He's going to fight him for a bit and then punch his face in with enough force to pop a watermelon, if you get what I'm saying.
Okay.
The
Mhm.
reason why,
Okay.
if you will allow me to
Yeah.
expound on that, is because I believe even at the lowest, we've got a multi-city block character who, again, that would be at the lowest. That was several years prior to the current date in the story.
Right.
And he gets stronger every single day. Then there's all the nuke statements being like, God, it wouldn't even matter. So I do believe personally he's somewhere in the smaller end of town range. I do think that by the end of Son of Ogre, he's sub-relativistic. But as I've mentioned, there has been like 9 months have passed since the end of that, and he gets stronger every single day. Stronger does include faster and technique, not just raw punching force.
Right.
In Yujiro's case. And again, that's just starting with that. There's the Musashi point that I brought up, which he should be as fast or faster than Baki, who proceeded to say, we try and use hyperbole to strengthen ourselves mentally, and says, my jab is faster than light at this point, 9 months after the cockroach tackle's first debut.
Okay.
And Musashi just blocks it, and then Yujiro is able to keep up with Musashi in their fight to some extent.
Okay.
So he should be at the lowest in the low FTLs by the current point of the story.
Okay. So it sounds like to me, at least from the information you both have presented, that Asta is around the building level to multi-building level, city block, if anything, city block level, just from his fights along with Mars, and he's massively hypersonic, at least comparable to, if not faster than massively hypersonic by comparison to someone like Luck, who does have gauntlets and lightning magic that could, grant him those levels of speed, while his swords do have the ability to negate or reflect magic. Unfortunately, that wouldn't apply in a fight like this. And because of some of the rather crazier statements that Yujiro has from the nukes, in addition to, well, again, we don't know exactly how he would interact with one, but if what you say is true about the speed scaling for Baki, that would mean that Yujiro would be... I've always found lightning speed, by the way, to be like a weird thing in comparison to light speed, because sometimes people say, it's like a difference of 3 times, and then sometimes the internet says other things, so it would mean that Yujiro's at least...
By the way, because,
okay.
Oh my gosh, that is something I could yap about for an hour.
Yeah, for sure. It just sounds like to me like Yujiro's just faster, at least in terms of his combat speed, than Asta is. At least from like the evidence you both have brought up for me, it sounds to me like Yujiro would win this more so because he's just too tough, right? At least the ability to, see an opponent's technique and copy it, which, granted, I don't think that he would be able to copy magic, but if he can see something like Asta's, sword slashes, which I feel like, at least as of the time that, for the Asta that we're talking about, he wouldn't probably, he wouldn't have anything too crazy that, like, Yujiro can't figure out a counter for. It sounds to me like Yujiro would win, at least given the arguments you both presented. It sounds to me like Yujiro would win. Do you got, Six, do you have any counters for Yujiro? Because... yeah, the being able to deal with a nuke feat is kind of crazy, and if he can throw a punch at like light speed, then I feel like, yeah, he'd probably put down Asta. Do you have any counters for that?
Do not.
Okay. Well, then I guess, at least for now, I would have to lean towards the size of Yujiro, but, I'll put up a community tab and see what the community thinks as a whole. I'll put this up as like a little side tab, and, I'll put up a poll, and we'll see what everybody else thinks. Thank you both so much for, helping me out with this, showing up, just teaching me a bit about Black Clover and Baki's scaling. I will say this, I find it extremely interesting that, like, they're already, like, massively hypersonic by the second arc of the story.
Black Clover, like, he's nuts.
Yeah.
I got to the end of the Elf arc, and I'm sitting there like, man, they're already, like, a few hundred times to maybe a few thousand times FTL.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, Black Clover scaling does get very, very exaggerated very, very quickly. I like it. And I'll be honest, Baki is one of those series that, you know, at first glance when I was told about it, I was thinking like these guys would be like, you know, normal humans, maybe, you know, pulling out some superhuman stuff. But Yujiro Hanma is a fucking monster. Holy shit. A fucking nuke?
No, it's stated like 3 times, and dude, like he can just. Oh yeah, by the way, you gotta crush like coal with like 100,000 like.
Yeah, I saw that
tons
with
of force. It's like
with like the Barack Obama
and he can
stand-in.
yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I'd love if eventually they would give us an idea, like, I don't know, the writer of Baki, the creator, they just say, fuck it, let's give him an actual nuke scene, and I don't know, maybe Yujiro does something to make them want to drop it on him. I'd love to see an interaction, like a movie or an OVA, something. I'd really like to see how exactly he would deal with something like that. Yeah. But, thank you both so much.
I would. Yeah, no, absolutely. I
No
will
problem.
absolutely. By the way, 6. I am so sorry that I cannot find somebody who like is a really fun match with Asta.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. I mean, hey, we could always do, I don't know, Luffy versus Asta. I think that'd be interesting. I'm down to
Yeah,
have.
I just you said no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang.
Yeah, nothing. I wanted to like to keep out anything from like I wanted to keep out anything from the series that I already talk about. You feel me?
Yeah.
I find it more
Especially for like the first few ones.
yeah.
I totally get it.
I find it more interesting if like, you know, we could talk about series that aren't already being talked about in the channel, but more so because that way, you know, as someone who at least has an idea of how those series scales, I'd like to get an idea of how other series, stories, mangas, manhwas, comics, I'd like to see how they scale as well. There's a very like the spectrum of stupid shit that one could just write for any anime character or fictional character, you know, by extension, is absolutely preposterous. You know what I mean? So, hey, I mean,
Would you like one that's just really dumb when you kind of look at it from like a on high sort of glance, sort of a wow, you know, judging from a distance, that makes no sense. Okay, so what if I told you middle school girl with pink hair,
right?
who duels people for like this person who's called the Rose Bride.
Okay.
You know, all they do is duel. They just fight each other in this like weird stadium in the back of the school that like nobody goes to because
Right.
it's forbidden. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so they're beating each other up with like truth values and fucking conglomerated philosophies.
Right.
These are middle schoolers hitting each other with you know, things that just dictate reality itself.
Yeah, I remember
So,
hearing some wild stuff with like
and that's
Medaka box.
Revolutionary Girl Uta. So
Yeah.
there's that series like this. So like, because you never know, because it could be that, or it could be something like, oh yeah, no, there may be like building level tops, you know?
Right. That's still, I mean, building level for a
Like,
middle schooler is still crazy.
Which level? Yeah, building level for a middle schooler. Building level for anyone that's supposed to be human.
Yeah, building level for anybody that's essentially, you know, like a preteen or whatever. Like, come on, bro. What are we doing?
Man, I wish I could bench half as much.
True. Same. Some of these images have like
I mean, we can at least start with
lines on
that,
them.
so
Yeah.
that's
No, 100%. I stopped the recording. I restarted a new one just to ask Six a couple of questions.
holy shit.
Yeah, the images have like rainbow scans lines on them.
They have. Oh man, I have never. That is hilarious.
Yeah, that
I
was
didn't realize
crazy.
it was that bad.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
I
crazy.
should also grab that Musashi beat while I'm at it.
Yeah, no,
because
take
of
your time.
The zeros and all that.
Yeah, take your time. I'll probably throw that in
Oh,
at the end as a little blooper.
Ulrich was big dicking it with the scans a little too much. Internet said, nah.